Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you had a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. Buckle up, hit that like button, otherwise I will punch you in the throat, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing that we should talk about today is this very strange Gabby DiMartino situation. So, if you're unfamiliar with Gabby like I was before this popped up on my radar, she's actually a very large creator, has over 3 million subscribers on her personal channel, almost 10 million on her joint channel with her sister Nikki, massive on Instagram, Twitter, and like we've seen many stars and influencers do this year, Gabby has made an OnlyFans account, which isn't standout or newsworthy on its own, but at some point yesterday, it turns out she sent a message to her OnlyFans subscribers that read, "Won't put my panties on," and that was accompanied by a 35-second video clip that her fans had to pay $3 to unlock. Right, and if you're unfamiliar with OnlyFans, the clip is essentially blurred out. You can't see what is in it until you pay money to unlock it. Right, and so because of her wording here, "won't put my panties on," many assumed that if they paid this money, they would get a nude or a lewd video of Gabby. But what they reportedly ended up getting was a video of her as a toddler lifting up her dress to show herself naked. And so almost immediately, people began slamming Gabby, saying that she was tricking her fans into essentially buying CP. With a lot of people saying they were disturbed by what she had done, many reporting her to OnlyFans. And as far as what it appeared that Gabby's initial reaction was as she was defending herself, for example, in a phone call with a reporter from Insider, she said, quote, "Drama channels are trying to make something out of a childhood video of me. That's hilarious. They're reaching." But we saw the backlash continuing to grow, and ultimately we saw Gabby changing her tune. After the channel Spill Sesh demanded that Gabby make a statement, she finally did and said, "A childhood video of me on the phone saying, 'Nani says put your panties back on,' and jumping up and down laughing. I'm sorry I didn't think that one through. Period. A home video I love to share with my friends, and I use my OnlyFans as a Finsta page where I share stuff as I would with friends." Then adding, "The video is a goofy throwback family moment that I wanted to share with my personal OnlyFans fancy babies. I am sorry that this wasn't thought out completely. I apologize. The video is down now. I am sorry again if this came out wrong." And while we've seen a number of her fans accept that apology, a lot of people just were not having that. Right? With many specifically taking issue with her acting like she uses her OnlyFans as a Finsta. Because when she talked to that Insider reporter via text message, she said her account was not a sexual page. But that reporter also noted that her previous OnlyFans posts have been sexual in nature. Writing previously, DiMartino posted photos and videos to her OnlyFans that included a video of her boyfriend laying on top of her and kissing her, as well as a picture of him groping her. She also posed topless for a, quote, nip slip image and for one image of her breast pressed against another woman who was clothed. DiMartino also posting multiple videos of her twerking. So, given that history, a lot of people questioned that apology again, also really questioning once again how she marketed this $3 video. And specifically regarding that, in a now deleted tweet, Gabby appeared to address her phrasing, writing, "I was trolling, it was wrong, period." Also, an interesting aspect to this story is that Gabby told Insider that she took her OnlyFans page down after all the outrage. But there's a little bit of a question mark there because OnlyFans also issued a statement saying to several outlets that they deactivated her account for violating its terms of service. Which, I mean, given what happened here, I think it was a very smart move on OnlyFans, who, I mean, has to be yet another huge frustration for the smaller users on that platform. Keep having these massive creators coming to the platform and putting your income at risk by doing stupid stuff. Which is also probably why we saw people like Alana Evans, an adult entertainer and president of the Adult Performers Actors Guild, telling the Daily Beast, "It's women like her that do this that make people turn to those of us in the adult industry who would never do something like this, and we take the blame for it. It's shocking, just shocking." With Evans telling the outlet not only did she report the page to OnlyFans, but she also encouraged them to help the authorities so that Gabby is prosecuted. In fact, saying that she has contacted the FBI about this. But ultimately, that is where we are with this. We have to wait and see if Gabby faces any serious legal consequences. But at the very least, I have to ask, what were you thinking? It's such a creepy, weird, and stupid situation. There's a difference between you having a video on your phone, you send it to your mom or your sister or something, and you're like, "Oh my God, remember Nani, remember this?" Versus you selling that clip with the caption, "Won't put my panties on." People don't know what they're going to get until they pay the money. In a situation where it appears that you have already set precedent on what kind of content this could be. Like, that is a special kind of stupid, Gabby. But yeah, with this, I want to know what you beautiful bastards think. Well, what camp do you land in? Are you in the she should be deplatformed, the authorities should get involved camp? Or are you defending her? This was a stupid mistake, a slip? Or do you land somewhere in between? Where are you landed on this one and why? I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Then, in some less disturbing internet news, we should talk about TikTok. That is because while TikTok has really blown up over the last year, no one has really ever viewed it as a competitor to YouTube. When you think of TikTok, you think 5 to 15-second videos. Technically, they can go up to 1 minute, but we're now seeing reports that TikTok is wanting to test longer 3-minute videos. Reports of this test came from social media consultant Matt Navarra, who shared a screenshot of the TikTok update. That screenshot noting that the feature is still in early access stages. It is also unclear right now how many people have access to it. And so with this situation, you get 2 questions. 1, did anyone actually want this? And 2, could this be successful on the platform? And for TikTok, you've already trained your user base to digest very short videos. So much so that you haven't even had to give people the ability to rewind or fast forward. It also makes me wonder what kind of creators could thrive in this new environment. Because, I mean, for example, TikTok just released their top 100 blog posts, which basically looks back on the year on what users like. You look at this list, you see the people that have thrived. You have, of course, the Charli D'Amelios of the world, as well as the likes of Tabitha Brown, Bella Poarch, who is especially blown up over the past few months, Devin Rodriguez, Wisdom K, Hyra, Madison Ray, others. Right, so to the people that end up being breakout stars, does that change based off the ability for people to post longer stuff? Or the people that thrived with short form content, if we see longer content doing better, do they just evolve and grow? I don't know, but it will be interesting to watch, especially because if you think about this move from TikTok, they are doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. In general, you have had platforms that allow for longer posting and then allowing via a story feature or something like that for people to post snippets. But here with TikTok, we're seeing the potential reverse of that swing. I personally don't know if it'll take. I have my doubts, but it'll be very interesting to see. And whenever any kind of platform can thrive and I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. And actually, I want to ask, if you are someone that uses TikTok, are you interested in longer content? Or maybe as someone that does not already use TikTok, would the implementation of longer content bring you over there? But from that, let's pay some bills and thank the fantastic sponsor of today's show, Bright Cellars. You know, with the year that 2020 has been, we all have enough to worry about for the holiday season, so just go ahead and reduce the holiday stress and let Bright Cellars be your personal wine catering service. Having wine that I actually enjoy has been amazing. You know, I've never really been a wine person until I was introduced to Bright Cellars, which has been a game changer. Whether you're new to wine or not, Bright Cellars offers fantastic wine selections curated to your taste, delivered straight to your door. It couldn't be simpler. You just answer a 7-question quiz and Bright Cellars customizes your wines based on your profile. Not only that, each delivery includes wine education cards with tasting notes, pairing suggestions, wine origin, and even the best serving temperature for each bottle. Then I just rate the wines that I receive within my online profile to make sure they keep sending me wines that I actually enjoy, and so far they have nailed it. I've personally been loving this Hazelare Sauvignon Blanc that they sent. It went perfectly with our Thanksgiving meal. And best of all, right now, Bright Cellars is offering 50% off your first 6-bottle box plus a bonus bottle. Just click on that link down below, take the quiz, and get started today. And then let's talk about a story that interestingly enough, I'll start with this clip.
Today, a member of his own cabinet appeared to join in with the radical Dems and the deep state and the resistance. Attorney General William Barr, who has been absent for weeks and weeks, telling the Associated Press that the U.S. attorneys and FBI agents who have followed up on complaints of specific voter fraud across the country have produced nothing. For the Attorney General of the United States to make that statement, he is either a liar or a fool or both. He may be perhaps compromised. He may be simply unprincipled, or he may be personally distraught or ill.
You heard it here first, folks. I got the papers right here. William Barr, part of the anti-Trump deep state. He weaseled his way in by being one of the biggest Trump loyalists in the cabinet, hands down.
But I mean, come on, this is the same man that came out before the Mueller report was released and said that it totally exonerated Trump, even though the report explicitly stated that it did not exonerate him. But this is the same man who lied to the American public and was accused of committing perjury by lying to Congress as well over the exact same matter, all to help Trump. But this reaction from Lou Dobbs, as well as other Trump supporters against Bill Barr here, it is yet another example of what happens to you if you were seen to be in Trump's camp and you do something that doesn't inherently help the president and his desperate lies and pleas. I mean, just the other week, you had people trying to Pizzagate Tucker Carlson because of his coverage of Sidney Powell. It's genuinely insane and scary. And as far as why this is happening to Barr now, Barr yesterday for the first time ever explicitly said that to date, DOJ officials investigating specific complaints have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election, and adding, most claims of fraud are very particularized to a particular set of circumstances or actors or conduct, and those have been run down. They are being run down. Some have been broad and potentially cover a few thousand votes. they have been followed up on. And very notably, Barr even went beyond that by going on to directly dispute some of the totally unproven and actively debunked claims spread by Trump and some of his supporters. Also, specifically including the blatant conspiracy theory that Trump's recently disavowed attorney Sidney Powell has been spewing, right, about how voting machines made by Dominion voting systems flipped votes from Trump to Biden as part of a global communist scheme using software developed by former Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez, who, of course, has been dead for over 6 years now. And actually, let's take a second to unpack and debunk this as well very quickly, because that conspiracy has grown some serious roots, especially among Trump supporters. Right, so there are 4 very simple and clear reasons this is 100% false. Firstly, the vast majority of claims about Dominion machines flipping votes and having ties to foreign actors or left-wing groups have been entirely debunked. Secondly, in order for this far-reaching conspiracy to have any legs, it would also mean that Republican governors who have been major supporters and allies of Trump, people like Brian Kemp in Georgia and Doug Ducey in Arizona, would have to play a key role in helping to ensure that their states went to Biden. Third, the majority of key swing state counties that use Dominion machines actually voted for Trump. And fourth, to stick with the common theme here, there is literally no evidence of any of this. And now, the top law enforcement official in the country, who was appointed by Trump, has also added his voice to refute these, with Barr explicitly telling the AP that not just the DOJ, but the Department of Homeland Security have investigated the claims, and adding, so far we haven't seen anything to substantiate that. Right, and this is a huge deal for 2 reasons. First of all, it is a complete 180 for Barr, who, before the election, was repeating many of the false claims touted by Trump about how mail-in ballots were not secure and vulnerable to fraud, and who was also accused of using the DOJ to implement policies to undermine public confidence in the election system. And secondly, with these remarks, Barr has now become the highest-ranking administration official to break ranks with Trump and contradict his claims about widespread fraud, which is notable because the last high-ranking official to do so, to go against Trump here, was Chris Krebs, who was the director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, who was fired after speaking out. With this situation, despite Barr's words, we still saw Trump and his team trying to push the same garbage. Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, and his legal advisor, Jenna Ellis, saying in a statement, "With the greatest respect to the Attorney General, his opinion appears to be without any knowledge or investigation of the substantial irregularities and evidence of systemic fraud." So apparently the Trump-appointed top law enforcement official doesn't know what he is saying. Okay, as far as Trump's response, no surprise, he's been tweeting out the same stuff. And while, I understand that it's very easy at this point to be like, okay, same old, that's to be expected. The normalization of these false claims that Trump has been spewing is incredibly dangerous. And I don't mean just like to democracy in general, but I mean like physically dangerous. We're almost a month past Election Day, and we have continually seen stories and headlines about election officials receiving violent threats as a direct result of all the disinformation that Trump and his supporters have been spreading. And this is something we saw Gabriel Sterling, a Republican and one of the top election officials in Georgia, hitting on in an incredibly powerful speech that has now gone viral.
It has all gone too far. It has to stop. Mr. President, you have not condemned these actions or this language. This is elections. This is the backbone of democracy. And all of you who have not said a damn word are complicit in this. It's too much.
And they're noting several instances of Trump's allies and supporters directly inciting violence because of the misinformation Trump himself was spreading. Like the fact that one of Trump's own lawyers said that Krebs should be drawn and quartered, taken out at dawn, and shot for doing his job. Also noting Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who himself said that he has gotten death threats and has also recently had caravans of Trump supporters in front of their house, some of whom have actually gone on their property, with Raffensperger's wife reportedly receiving sexually explicit threats on her personal phone. But with his speech, Sterling said that for him, the straw that broke the camel's back was the fact that a 20-something contractor who worked for Dominion in Georgia was facing death threats. This after a video that circulated claimed to show him working on the recount and altering votes led to his identity being released, with people in a Twitter thread calling for him to be hung for treason, people harassing his family, with Sterling going on to directly call on Trump to condemn these kinds of actions.
What you don't have the ability to do, and you need to step up and say this, is stop inspiring people to commit potential acts of violence. Someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed. And it's not right. Be the bigger man here and step in, tell your supporters, don't be violent, don't intimidate. All that's wrong. It's un-American.
But I'm going to go out on a limb here based off of the last 4 years that we've dealt with this guy, and most specifically the kind of really dangerous stuff we've seen him partake in this last month. I don't foresee a call for decency is striking at the core of Donald Trump. I mean, right after Sterling's remarks started to gain traction, Trump literally did the opposite of what he asked, sharing the video on Twitter with a caption just full of misinformation about Georgia. And just while I was recording this, he also gave a speech where he basically spent 40 minutes rehashing the same false claims and outright lies. But ultimately, that is where we are with this now. Obviously, we have our eyes on it. We will continue to update this story. And also notably, we're now under 50 days from Inauguration Day. One day we can stop talking about this. And that is where I'm going to end today's show. As always, thank you for being a part of my daily dives in the news. Also, if you happen to be new here, hit that subscribe button, tap that bell to turn all notifications on, maybe even send me a text at 813-213-4423. But with all of that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.